I welcome you to the Hisoutensoku Rewire Showcase. In this video, I'm going to show and explain the major updates and mods you'll find in this new downloadable Hisoutensoku package, and some of the new add-ons that can be downloaded by themselves. This is the list of mods that come with the pack, but beware that all of them are turned on by default as to keep the pack as simple and clean as possible. Here are the ones that are active by default, the ones that are turned off, together with the mods I'm going to showcase. You can see the LabTool and the RIV are turned off by default, but I'm going to showcase them both anyway, as they enhance the practice mode experience by a ton, and I think it's vital to know about those mods specifically, as to make your Soku experience the best possible yet. With that said, I think we chit-chat enough, so let's get to explaining and demonstrating. Let's start, first of all, with the new system add-ons. First in line, Infinite Decks, probably one of my favorites of the bunch. This mod is a huge game changer as it fixes one of the main problems of Hisoutensoku, the fact that you can't have more than 4 decks on a character at all times, unless you go and switch to a different profile to get new decks, which is highly impractical. This mod makes it so that now you have no more restrictions on the amount of decks you can get access to. You can literally make as many as you want, but that isn't the only update to the deck making and card selecting. When selecting a deck, you'll notice that now you can actually see which cards are in the deck, in case you forgot your own sets. And you can even name them whatever you want. Now you don't have to create extra profiles to play more unique deck compositions. Ain't that amazing? This mod also lets you play with a completely randomized deck or no deck at all, in case you want something spicy and fresh. That is all for this mod. I think we can move on to the next one. Practice Mode Plus, which is not even one mode, there's actually 2 modes, and I think both of them are one of the core assets of this pack, in my humble opinion at least. Before we get to the mods, allow me to point out that there is a more advanced practice mode in the work, and it's on a completely different level than this. But even so, this is still a great set of mods that should be showcased. Consider this too as a more compact and simplified version of that. Now, onto the mods. On first glance, nothing seems different, and you will be right, because even once you have turned on the mods, you still have to press buttons to have access to the various functions of the extended practice mode. The one thing that is gonna be turned on immediately without requiring inputs is the extra window that should have appeared close to the main Hisoutensoku window. So let's start from that one and everything else it brings in. That window is the main part of the LabTool mod. It comes bundled together with extra keyboard buttons that you can press to activate simple yet real useful functions. For now though, let's focus on the window itself, as it's probably the most interesting extension to the practice mode. The main function of this window is to showcase frame data. More specifically, it shows the frame data of the frame advantage on block head recovery and the gaps present in a block string. Here, I'll just show you directly what it does. This is gonna be a bit scuffed, but here, how about I just showcase straight up what the LabTool window actually does. So, as you can imagine, the LabTool window is there just for the numbers. It doesn't do much else, really, as I already said. But the way you are given those numbers, that is the best part. So, here we go. That is -2. So, basically, 1A for Youmu is -2. Part 5A, 0 on hit. What about on block? -2. What about on run block? +2. Or about if I try to do a sequence? There is a gap of 7 frames. It is not tight. What about doing something that is tight? So that's tight, and that's -14. That is pretty much what the numbers do. There isn't much else they do, but it is probably one of my favorite mods. so useful, so helpful. It doesn't need to do anything else, honestly. You get the frame data, you get your information, and voila, you are ready to become the next great champion. Yeah, I think that is all. Let's move on to the next scripted part. Yeah. That is the LabTool mode. It's great considering how much help it provides when you're trying to understand how plus or tight or minus or whatever you are doing strings or opponent strings too. Now, that was the main function of the window, but as said before, it also comes bundled with other smaller functions. So let's go through them in rapid succession. Keyboard button 1 by itself moves the characters in the last location saved by pressing the 2 key. When pressing the 1 key plus the direction will move characters either in the corners, left or right direction, or at the center of the stage, down direction. The 4 key resets all your skills back to level 0, or back to default if you change them with an alt. Lastly, the 5 key will enable colored states that will show the character's active status during actions. Each color or effect means something different. Here's each of their meaning. Red state, used to determine the counter state. Blue state, used for the invincible state. Purple state, used a bit all over, but it's used to indicate overall when you are in a recovery of some kind. Overall, it's used for the recovery state. Transparent state, used when you are in the grazing state. That is all regarding the LabTool, but we aren't yet finished with practice mode because now we have to talk about the other side, RI and V+. It is time to talk about RIV or RIV, whatever you prefer. Let's get going. Similarly to LabTool, at first glance there is nothing here until you start pressing the necessary buttons to activate the various functions. Before that though, allow me to point out a small difference from the vanilla practice mode. With RIV now, even single hits will be counted in the combo counter. Not much of a detail, but it is useful. Now, about those buttons. On the keyboard, we have F4, F6, F7, F9, F10, F11, and lastly, F12. Each one does a different thing. Let's see it in more detail, starting from the top. F4. It enables all the various boxes and some extra stuff. To be precise, it enables hurt boxes, hit boxes, collision boxes, the juggle meter, and the indicators, which are those small dots that appear on the bullet spawn points, at the bottom of the characters, or on bullets themselves. It's probably one of the most useful functions of RIV, and it really helps in practicing down the very core of the game. But we aren't done yet. Let's move on to F6. I actually don't really know what this does precisely. I know it shows extra information about the game, like characters positioned horizontally and vertically on the axis, or the speed, or what specific frame they're using for the animations, but the total utility kind of eludes me, honestly. This is way too nerdy even for me, man. Let's move on. F7. This is a pretty basic one, yet missing from vanilla. By pressing F7, you can cycle through 3 ways of showcasing your inputs. No more, no less. It is as simple as it is fundamental. Great to recognize why you were missing that DP or something. F9 and F10. F9 will slow down the frame rate and F10 will bring it back up. Why will one ever change the frame rate from 60 to 2? Don't ask me. I'm just showcasing what everything does in a very simple manner. Alright, on to the last two. F11 and F12. Probably the reason that makes RIV such a great tool. Together with the boxes, obviously. F11 and F12 work in tandem, with F11 stopping the game completely and F12 moving by 1 frame each time it's pressed. This is incredibly useful to test out things that require frame perfect precision or just to study things meticulously. By pressing F11 again, you will obviously go back to normal speed. Those were all the functions that RIV Plus adds to your practice mode. And I forgot to add to your replays. All of those things can be used when watching a replay, and honestly, I think the mod was originally made with such an intent, considering the complete name is Replay Input Viewer after all. Anyhow, when paired together with LabTool, you get a complete new experience with practice mode. You get more to work with and more things to discover. It's definitely my favorite set of mods present in this pack, which is kind of crazy to say considering the other set of mods that fix the network system in a crazy way. Sadly, we still have one more system fix before going towards that direction. Bear with me, it's a short one anyway. DPad Fix. Exactly what it sounds like. DPad Fix is a mod that makes it way easy to play Hisoutensoku with a pad or arcade stick or whatever it may be. The only version of Hisoutensoku sadly only reads the analog sticks on a pad or nothing on arcade sticks, which is an ideal, obviously. And this mod is here to try and fix a problem. Once it is turned on, your pad or whatever you're using will be recognized fully by the game. It's quite a utility tool, but you can see this with the footage, probably. I'll let it rock for a bit, then we will move on to the important stuff. We're finally here, at the true core of this pack, the true Rewired. Except we gotta go through one last tiny extra mode that is quite important and sort of kickstarted the pack in the first place, before we can get to the true core of all this. Okay, let's get to it. Meiling Desynch Fix. Once again, pretty much what it says. It's actually rather interesting as a mod, not for what it does, but the fact it exists as a fix at all. You see, Meiling, since forever, has always had this sort of urban legend where if you use your default 236 fragment wave, the online game will end up desyncing, but no one could really prove it 100%. And only recently we managed to not only actually prove it, but even fix it. This mod does just that. It fixes one small mistake with this move and avoids the syncs if used. Just so you know, I believe the problem was that this move had incorrect recovery of some kind. So whenever it was used online, it won't match up correctly and causes the sync due to the opponent recovering faster or slower than they should. Anyhow, it is now fixed. You can go and use this move as Meiling or have people use it on you. Now, for the main event. Network system. The actual Rewired. Alright, here we are. The nucleo, the core, the art, the... Yeah, you get it. I'm being fancy about it, but we are finally here. We can talk about the entire network system, which consists of a bunch of different mods that all together make the new network. I'm putting up too many bells and whistles on this vague description, so I'll just get to it. Let's go. The InGameHostlist mod is already by itself a huge amalgam of many fixes and updates to how Hisoutensoku Online works, and I think you can see yourself how different the screen looks. Obviously, it's not just different, it also works better, and it's a lot more straightforward. You can now join from an in-game host list that shows everyone that is hosting or waiting with Hisoutensoku open. You can obviously also host yourself and appear on the host list. Refresh, that's what you can imagine. It refreshes the page. An option is options related to your hosting and other small features. Lastly, we have the classic join from clipboard and profile select, which are really useful even in a new menu. Now, I don't want to bore you with too many details about the specific mod before you continue with the other pieces, but I want to explain how it works in broad terms at least, and what are the other unseen features. InGameHostlist works in tandem with a bot that connects the game to a server, otherwise all of this won't be possible. This doesn't just allow you to play from everywhere without having to be on Discord asking for IPs, but it also saves a bunch of interesting data on a site that you can visit called SokuReplays. Here, check it out. You can click on players to see and download the replays, see characters played, stats, and even check which decks were used on a game. If you're more into character stats, then you can even check that out and see some interesting numbers. Lastly, through the site, you can see the rankings of all the players in terms of elo. At least all the people that allow the bot to save the data and didn't play casual or anything. So that's the in-game host list. Pretty much an amalgam that allows you to play from wherever without having to commit to being in a Discord server, and makes playing online as simple as most modern fighting games. Just jump in, host, and here comes a daredevil, you know? Still, not funny looking lobby with questionable graphics though. Maybe that will be made in the future, but don't count on it too much. Now, that was a doozy, and it was one aspect. How about we continue? Let's talk about Discord integration. Normally, Discord does not say much about Soku. We just say that you are playing it and that's it. But with Discord integration, you can actually see in detail what is happening. Be that you are in character select, practice mode, the online set, or playing story. Discord will now have all the core details for everyone to see. You can even join on someone else through a Discord invitation, like other games. It's quite something, I was gonna say. Last small detail is that the entire mod is translated in a bunch of different languages. Italian here, as you can see, based on your computer main language. If yours is missing, you can ask the modder if they can open a spot for your language too. Will be a nice help. Anyhow, it was a bit shorter than before, but it's still a great add-on, if you ask me at least. Now, we are inching closer to the end, so let's move on to AutoPunch and the rollback system. Now, this entire pack won't be considered plug and play if it wasn't for AutoPunch. This cute little thing, this nice little fella, makes it extremely easy to host, because it port forwards for you. You don't have to go through all them hoops to open the 10800 port, because AutoPunch just sort of does it for you. Now you can just open the game and host. No need for crazy technological breakthroughs. Now, it is not perfect by any means. Sometimes it just does not work either because of providers or computer or anything, but luckily it's pretty rare. Usually it works just fine, and who knows, maybe there will be an update in the future. Finally, we have come to the end of this journey, and we celebrate a grand classic, Hisoutensoku Rollback, the Soku roll. Not much to say here, this is probably one of the oldest mods and the heart of Hisoutensoku. With this, when you play online, instead of having to deal with delay netcode, you get to play with rollback, which I hopefully don't have to explain why it's such a good thing. Mostly because I'm incapable of explaining it, you have to rely on other videos to do that. Just know that having rollback is great, and who knows, maybe even this will get an update eventually. Well, this is all I wanted to showcase, and I think it's more than enough. If this does not convince you to give Hisoutensoku a try, then damn, I did what I called. Before I truly close out this video, allow me to quickly mention some of the other mods in here, Tease new mods and stuff, and just put everything remaining on the table so I don't feel like I could have done a better job. Alright, lightning round of thanks. Alright, here we go. We have Windows Resizer. It does exactly what it says. Once again, all the mods keep having super relevant and straightforward names. With this, you can resize the game's window, albeit you have no full control over it. This is Memory Patch. It allows you to open more windows with Soku inside of it. Neat. Next. This other one is Replay D&D. I'm not sure about the name, but by clicking on replay, you open a new Soku window with the replay going on. Easy, fast access. Those were the extra mods I wanted to point out. If you have doubts about anything, you can check the WordPad file called Soku Mods inside the pack for more details. Not done yet, time to continue with some quick teasing, and then I think for today, this is way more than enough. Here's some quick snippets of the new practice mode in the works. Give it a good look because it ain't ready. Now here's some interesting snips from the trial mode in the works. Yeah, hope this is enough for you. Also, you should give a check to Soku2, which is a thing that exists and it's pretty rad and sick. Here's some quick looks. And that's it. Here's all you have to know about it, right? If you are curious about it in more detail, then only one thing is left to do. Join the community and download the pack. Well, This is all from me, for now. Thank you for sticking around for the showcase, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one.